Hi, South Coast Christian Life Groups. Welcome to week 8 of Life Groups, the final week of our winter trimester. Hey, I hope that these 8 weeks have been life-giving to you, and I hope that you've enjoyed fellowship, community, and some spiritual growth. Thank you for being a part of these groups for the last 8 weeks. We're so excited to see what happens today in our discussion. But before we jump in, just one last reminder, please be open in your sharing, but also be conscious of the feelings of others in the group. And again, as always, we ask that anything shared in the group stays in the group, as this does help build community. And as always, if you want to catch up on current sermon series or the past sermon series, they can be found on YouTube, on our website, or on the podcast, which you can get from your smartphone and your wherever you listen to your podcast. So let's jump into this week's discussion. This past Sunday, in the final week of the series, Jesus Said, we studied the parable of the 10 bridesmaids. Now would be a great time to pause the video and read it together as a group. The parable can be found in Matthew chapter 25. The parable follows the story of 10 bridesmaids who were called to be prepared with enough oil in their lamps for when the bridegroom arrived. 5 of them were well prepared in advance with enough oil to make it through the procession, while 5 of them were unprepared. When the bridegroom arrived late, those who were not prepared had to leave and go buy more oil. When they finally returned, they were denied entrance because of their unpreparedness. In this parable, the bridegroom represents Jesus and specifically his return to earth. The bridesmaids represent each of us as we are called to be preparing today for our future meeting with Jesus. The parable gives clear warning that we are to be prepared. To further clarify, check out this clip from Sunday's message.
But the point of the parable is to illustrate that even though that they looked like bridesmaids, they were not ready for the groom's arrival. They might have looked the part. From the outside, everything looked fine. But guess what? Something was missing. What was missing is that they had run out of oil when they were waiting for the groom's return. And when the groom finally arrived, they had nothing left. They had no oil in their lantern. And sometimes it's a difficult parable for many people to grab a hold of because it challenges us in our relationship with Jesus. You see, the oil represents the Spirit of God inside of your life. It represents our faith in Christ, and the Spirit that resonates in us resonates with the Spirit of Christ. And without the oil inside the lamp, what? The lamp is basically what? Useless.
So the first topic we'll look at today is that what's inside your life is really what matters. As Pastor Tom said, in this parable challenges us in our relationship with Jesus. As believers, we have the Holy Spirit and the power of the Holy Spirit inside of us. So our first question for today is, how will Jesus recognize us upon his return? Go ahead, pause the video right there. I'll be back with you. I hope you had some great discussion. So the next point from the message is that it's important to be preparing today for your future. I was talking with Brett and he put it this way: when is the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When is the second best time to plant a tree? Today. So as we continue forward, our next question is, what does it actually look like to prepare for the future today? And I'm not talking about our 401ks or our real estate investments. What I'm talking about is your spiritual future and our inevitable future meeting with Jesus. Go ahead, pause the video right there. I'll be back with you in a moment. I hope you had some great discussion. So the last point from the message this week was that you can't depend on someone else's faith. As Pastor Brett said to me, you don't get a +1 on your invitation into heaven. And I thought that was kind of a fun way of thinking about it. But it can also be a serious point. So check out this clip from Sunday from the message.
And we're going to close with this. You can't depend on the faith of others. Your relationship, I've shared this before in this church. I share it on a regular basis because it makes me nervous with people. Some people are putting their faith in their grandfathers, or they're putting their faith in Pastor Tom, or they're putting their faith. You can't put your faith in others. Your relationship with Jesus cannot be dependent upon someone else's faith or someone else's relationship. The oil in the lamp represents the Holy Spirit and our faith in Jesus Christ. Many people think attending church is enough, having Christian friends is enough, but it's not. It's just not enough. The only answer that is enough is your relationship with Jesus Christ. This was the demise of the 5 foolish bridesmaids. They thought they could depend on the others. They thought they could depend on the oil that the other ones had, that they could fill their lamps and light their oil. But guess what? They couldn't. You have to have a relationship with Jesus, not with someone else.
So our final discussion question is, well, we can't depend solely on the faith of others. Can the faith of others still help us? Go ahead, pause the video right there. I'll be back with you in a moment. Well, that does it for our discussion today. I thank you for being a part of this group, for your awesome discussion times. I heard so many great stories from this trimester of fellowship and community and discussion, and people bumping into me at church and mentioning how they feel challenged to have grown over these last 8 weeks. And that is our wish. That's our desire for you. Thank you for being a part of this. If your group has a little extra time, or you want to dive deeper into today's discussion, there's just a couple of more questions on the screen. You can always check this video out on YouTube as well at home in your quiet time if you'd like to continue thinking through this parable and through this series. So while this parable has been kind of a heavy warning, I think for me the big takeaway is that we have a great opportunity to allow the Holy Spirit to work through us. Jesus wants to know us, and he wants us to know him. Very cool. So as we wrap up, I just want to remind everyone that our next Grow class begins on April 11th. You can sign up or learn more at southcoastchristian.com. We intentionally put our growth track, our grow group, our grow class in between our group's trimesters so that people can have the dedicated time to be a part of that class. If you haven't done it yet, I encourage you to enroll. It can be a very cool, life-changing experience, and you'll learn more about South Coast Christian, what we believe, why we believe it, and how to take some steps moving forward in your faith. Thank you for being a part of this group for the last 8 weeks. Wow, it's been awesome. We love you here at South Coast. We're praying with you and we're praying for you. We'll see you this Sunday, if not sooner. Take care, God bless, and we'll see you next trimester.